So I'm Tom Dirlam. I retired from the Michigan State Police. I now work in my retirement for Below 100. Taught Below 100 Officer Safety Program since 2013. Been a core instructor since 2015 and on the executive board since 2016. And I really don't have a TED Talk presentation, so I'm just going to tell you about my week and our partnership with NSA. The National Sheriff's Association, Mike Sable, reached out to us and our organization about 3 months ago and asked to partner. The focus is going to be a little more on deputy safety, and that's our business. And so we've worked together. We developed a little video that we showed yesterday in our training session here. It's going to be rolled out. We're hopeful that we're actually going to incorporate that into our Below 100 training sessions. That maybe we'll start with that or we'll end with that. And so we consider yesterday to kind of be our kickoff is our partnership with NSA and Below 100. And Below 100 was actually started in 2011 at ILETA, International Law Enforcement Educators and Trainers Association. That was our first instructor training session. It was a brainchild that was a year before, in 2010 at ILETA, when it was held in Oak Brook, Illinois. And came about actually like a lot of great ideas. A bunch of instructors sitting around a dinner table drinking beer. And one of them got a notification from an officer down Memorial page that an officer had been killed in the line of duty, and it was probably due to speed. And he spoke right up and said, if we just get our guys to slow down. And somebody else at the table says, oh, hey, but there was a line of duty death last week. Somebody wasn't wearing a seatbelt. And so that really went from there and formulated what we call our 5 core tenets, which is wear your belt, seatbelt, wear your vest, bullet resistant, and safety, watch your speed, win, or what's important now, which is really situational awareness, and the last is remember the places he kills. In the majority of line of duty deaths, at least one of those 5 core tenets is violated. Since then, all instructors are either active or retired, full-time sworn law enforcement. We all donate our time to teach, and most of us, there's about half of us are retired, the other half are still active. I'll be honest with you, I view it as my way to give back. I was very fortunate in my career, and I donate my time giving back. I actually was exposed to Below 100 about 3.5 years before I retired at a Chiefs conference, very similar to this, and I immediately knew what I wanted to do in my retirement was reach out and try to save officers' lives, and that's really what the entire program is about. And I was very impressed when I came this week, saw the opening ceremony. Very impressed. We all get busy sometimes and forget about those that made the ultimate sacrifice. There was 104 deputies died in the line of duty last year, and it's a big number. And Below 100, we're obviously trying to lower line of duty deaths. That's our mission, to less than 100 per year. Last time that happened was 1905. Over the last decade, the average number of line of duty deaths per year is 141. That's one fallen officer every 62 hours. And we're very fortunate. We have some great partnerships. NSA, National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, NHTSA, also provides some funding, because while we donate our time, so the instructor time is free, if we have to travel to do a class, they cover our travel expenses. FirstNet, with AT&T, is another one of our big sponsors. They've been with us several years. They actually reached out to us and asked how they could become our partner, much like NSA did. So we're very fortunate to have some people that believe in the message. And this week, as I said, the opening ceremony, I thought was absolutely awesome. They went through the entire list of all the 104 deputies that died in the line of duty last year. And as I said, sometimes we forget, one of the things we highlighted yesterday in our presentation, we all volunteered for these jobs. We did. We all volunteered for these jobs. And part of it is the responsibility that goes with keeping our people safe. And that's what we're trying to do. We're hoping that sheriffs embrace below 100. They're willing to just send us an email, make a phone call, whether it's through NSA or directly to me. I do all the training, I coordinate all the training. As I said, it's 100% free, so it should fit everybody's budget. Most agencies have mandatory training requirements per year. And as far as we are aware, every single post gives the officers credit for below 100 training. So it's one way to help satisfy your yearly training requirements. It's a 4-hour presentation. It's really all we need is a dark room, a sound system, and a projector we can hook up to using, hook our laptop up to using an HDMI or a VGA connection. If you don't have a sound system and a projector, we will bring one. So really all we need is a dark room. And your officers, there's no minimum, technically there's no minimum requirements for attendance. NHTSA asks that we have at least 12, but technically there aren't any. We have an instructor program. It's also 4 hours in length. The only requirements to be an instructor are they must be active or retired full-time sworn law enforcement. They must be a seasoned instructor. It doesn't matter if they're adjunct faculty. It doesn't matter if they do help, if they do firearms at your agency, defensive tactics. Doesn't really matter. But we like people that are used to getting up and speaking to groups. It seems to make it easier. And the third requirement is they must attend the below 100 course. Normally, what we do is when an agency is interested in hosting an instructor course, we run the regular basic course between 8 and noon, take an hour, and then we run the instructor course from 1 to 5, so it's one full day of training, and that way you have trainers or instructors in your agency. The only other thing we ask is you invite your surrounding agencies. I know the sheriffs are unique because they're elected, but to us, what makes the sheriffs more unique are they're responsible for everybody that comes to the Sally Port. The sheriffs do the jail, so they have a stake in the training that all the officers get in their jurisdiction, whether it's the state police or highway patrol or whatever it is, or whether it's the local agencies. They have a stake in that because those people are going to be bringing them people. And the minute they hit the Sally Port, it could endanger the sheriff's staff. I mean, we have several videos we show where they're dropping them off at the sheriff's department. Maybe they haven't been searched correctly. Maybe they've got some contraband or something, and that's kind of what we're focusing on. It's an all-encompassing safety program. And as I said, after the opening ceremony, that's several sheriffs around here that come up and go, hey, we like what you're doing. And I guess what we don't want to happen is everybody gets energized right after the presentation, and then they all go back to their agencies and they get tied up. And I get it. Sheriffs, they're busy. Everybody's busy. But we're hoping that before they get tied up with that they just reach out, put us in touch with your training staff, let us coordinate the training with them, work it in maybe with your in-service yearly training, and let us come out and let us provide the training. As I said, it's 100% free. It's 100% free. And we're excited. I see Mike is here, and Mike, we're so pumped. Rob and I were talking yesterday. We're so pumped about our partnership with you guys moving forward, trying to get the sheriffs more involved. I do teach a lot of sheriffs. I'm from Michigan, so I'm still in the Midwest. I have a lot of Indiana sheriffs that I've instructed for, and some sheriffs around the country. But we really, they're kind of key. They're larger. They cover large areas. We've got a lot of people in their jurisdictions, a lot of law officers, and we'd like to have them. Point of contact maybe isn't the right word, but we'd like them to kind of be the leaders in their areas and reach out and get the local people more involved in the local 100. I know I talk fast. Is there any questions about below 100, the course itself, what we're trying to accomplish? No? Go ahead. I'll be honest, I don't know exactly, Mike, how many sheriff's offices specifically. I did run a little list. Just my training in the past 2 years, 80% of them were sheriff's offices. So there is some as I said, a lot of it's, and I'll be honest, once they sit through it, they're hooked. I mean, I taught the Missouri sheriffs. I presented the Missouri sheriffs in 2018. I've been back in Missouri 6 times, different locations around the state. They're asking for 4 more. There's 115 sheriffs in Missouri and 114 counties. And so they sat through the presentation. They did. We presented the whole thing to the sheriffs. And from that, we've had just 10. And that helps because then we get some local agencies that attend at the sheriff's office. Lafayette County springs to mind, Carrick Allenbaugh, the sheriff of Lafayette County, Missouri. Huge support of the program. I've been there once. He wants us to come back. It's been 3 years since I've been there. But that offshoot, there were 4 other local agencies that went to the sheriff's office that now want us to go there. And that's what I kind of mean by we'd like the sheriffs to be the point person in their area and maybe allow the local people to come in, maybe not their whole staff in some of the larger areas, but invite them in and let them sit through. And then if they reach out, hey, we'll go do those. We'll go do those. But I really think the sheriffs can have a significant impact on law enforcement safety in this country. I really do. I think, mostly because of the size of their jurisdiction, but I really think they can have a significant impact in helping us move the program forward. 154 so far this year. 72 of COVID related. So that leaves 82 more in the area we're looking to prevent. Okay, and don't misunderstand what I'm saying. There are brothers and sisters in law enforcement that got cancers at 9/11, and they will be dying for decades from cancers they got at 9/11. There's nothing we can do, and COVID is kind of the same thing. There's nothing we can do to prevent those line of duty deaths. Not all line of duty deaths are preventable, but we want to focus on the 82, and it's still a big number because we're only halfway through the year. It's up 35% from the exact same time 1 year ago. Automobile crashes are up 38%. So as the country's getting back, opening up, we appear to be doing the same thing, but we appear to not be opening it properly. I think we're being a little careless. 58% of all our line of duty deaths from traffic crashes are single vehicle crashes. That's 6 out of 10. Where no one hits our patrol cars, we aren't hitting anyone, we are losing control of our patrol vehicles without the calls. 54% of the time, it's en route to back up another officer. So those things, we need to arrive, and we impress upon that. We impress that upon them. You need to arrive. If you don't arrive, you're taking resources from somewhere else to now come to you instead of the officer or the deputy that needed help originally. And so, again, we don't spend equal time on each of the 5 core tenets. Everybody knows we speed. We've tolerated it for too long in our profession. I'll be honest with you. We've tolerated our driving. And everybody thinks these crashes are high-speed crashes. Really, I think that's the perception in the mind. Hey, I'm not driving 130, so I'm safe. It's not necessarily true. Most of the crashes happen 35 miles an hour or less over the speed limit. Right where I think in our culture, we feel we have a right to drive. I think in our culture, we feel we have a right to drive as fast as we want, no matter where we're going or why we're going there. And what people don't realize, they may be exempt from the motor vehicle laws, but it doesn't make them exempt from the laws of physics. And we're hitting hard things, 17, 18, 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. We're hitting utility poles. We're hitting bridge abutments. We're hitting hard, immovable objects, and that's where it's not speed that takes over. It's the laws of physics. And we have several slides in our presentation that demonstrate it to the officers. Seatbelts. Statistics show 50% of law enforcement are not wearing seatbelts. 50%. And where do those stats come from? Crashes. They're crash stats. The powertrain control information module in each patrol vehicle records whether a seatbelt is on or not. and you have a fatal crash or a serious injury, they know whether the seatbelt was being used. And that's what it says 50% of the time. 75% of our crashes, failing to negotiate a curve or a turn at an unsafe speed. And that's where the wrong perception comes, I think, for law enforcement, is we think they're high-speed crashes, like somebody going down the highway at 130. I have videos of patrol cars losing tires at 130. I'm sure it's very uncomfortable for several seconds for those officers. But normally, they're in a ditch, they're off the road, they're not significantly injured. It's where they hit an immovable object that the tragedies begin to pile up. Any other questions? Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I will give you a business card as soon as I'm done here, and thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Anything else? Thank you. Thank you again.